Yo, what's going on, everybody? So Boruto episode 123 is done and in the books, and before we get into the episode, I gotta say, it is so crazy that Boruto has made it to 123 episodes. That's pretty freaking huge, especially given the fact of where the anime started off at and the fact that, you know, a lot of Western fans appear to have lost interest in it, and yet the anime's still done really well over in Japan. And so the fact that we're at 123 episodes and it seems like the anime is starting to come into its own now, I gotta say, this is something that I'm really glad to see for the series. Now, with that being said, we definitely have to talk about episode 123. So I gotta say this, man, like, I at first was getting a little annoyed with the Shinki and Boruto interactions, but I gotta say, I like how in this episode it's been scaled back. This is tolerable. The way that they were kind of going back and forth in this episode, it was tolerable. And I think a big part of the reason for this is somebody in the animation studio, someone on the writing team has understood, okay, we've kind of drilled this into the viewers' heads long enough that Shinki and Boruto, they see being a ninja in a different way, and they decided to focus a lot of the time and energy on the actual fight. And this kind of confirms something that, you know, I've been saying for a while, which is when it comes to seeing the old generation fight, we're not necessarily going to see them in some epic knockdown, drag them out fights. Like, every now and then you'll get something like how you got with Naruto and Sasuke versus Fuse Momoshiki, but for the most part, when it comes to the battles, you can expect this, especially now that the characters are gaining, for the new generation to be the highlights in the battles. And a really great example is, look at how they did the Kankuro fight versus the puppets. We got little snapshots into what was going on in the fight. Now that Temari is fighting alongside Boruto and Shikadai, all of a sudden the fight is very long, it's very stretched out, it's very fleshed out. You see the teamwork being coordinated between the different people. Like, I like what you saw there. I really like that, and part of the reason is it's giving us an opportunity to see what the new generation can actually do. And when you get those moments where Temari just kind of jumps in and she has her wind sight, then you're thinking, okay, it's about to go down here, it's about to go down here. You're gonna see Temari fight, and then you see Shikadai just pop up in the corner using his shadow paralysis jutsu, trying to attack from the behind. And then all of a sudden the fight kind of transitions away. It transitions away, and you're getting more information about Boruto and Shinki and their back and forth. Like, that should have been your first clue that we weren't going to see Temari play a major role. And what I like is how the episode allows time to build back up, where Boruto, you're thinking, okay, Boruto's matured, Boruto has found common ground with Shinki, he's acknowledged him, and then you're seeing what Gaara set up way back in the beginning of this arc, where Gaara tells Shinki that there's stuff that Boruto can teach you, and that's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. So when Shikaku runs away in order to watch Boruto and Temari and Shikadai fight, all of a sudden you get that moment where Shinki, as he's running to catch back up, and when he does catch back up, Shikaku tells him, like, yeah, that's definitely Naruto's son. He's more skilled and he's more intelligent than Naruto was, but that's definitely his son. And when Shinki's saying they should be coordinating attacks, like, Shinki is a great example of somebody that has a bunch of knowledge, but at the same time, he's got book smarts, but he don't have street smarts. And I really like that. I really like that. It's one of those things where when he's watching Boruto, he's realizing that Shikaku had him right. Shikaku's like, nah, you're sitting there and you're saying that they're not coordinating attacks. I don't think we're watching the same fight. And sure enough, you see, you get this really good tag team action where Shikadai starts off using his shadow paralysis jutsu, then Boruto's using shadow clones, and you're thinking, okay, I guess Boruto is trying to use diversions. What ends up happening is Boruto, in some kind of way, Boruto manages to get the upper hand on Temari's puppet that Urashiki is controlling, and Boruto sends it into the air, and he throws a explosive tag attached to a kunai, knocks it into the air. Temari is able to counter out with that attack. Like, I really like that sequence of events. That was really cool to actually see that, because it's showing that Temari, while she is taking a back seat, she's allowing these young ninja to gain experience. And I think that that's the most important role of a jonin. Like Temari at any given point, like let's be real, if Temari just started the fight with 100% seriousness, Temari could absolutely mop the floor with the puppet. But in a situation like this, when you got a freshly made Chunin and Shikadai and you got a skilled gaining, they have to gain that battle experience. You can't do all the heavy lifting for them. Now, while this is a life or death situation, that's exactly why you have a jonin right there to assist them. That way, when things get too out of control, the jonin can kind of step in. And a great example of this is how when that puppet is going underground and is attacking from the underground and they have to block with their kunai, Temari is blocking with her wind scythe. What I really like about that is how all of a sudden Temari gets serious. Temari gets serious. She takes her seriousness up to a different level. She jumps up in the air and she shows why exactly she said during the war arc that she's the strongest wind style user in the Shinobi Alliance. And obviously we know that Naruto is definitely stronger wind release than her, but if you take Naruto out the equation, she was the strongest wind release user. And so you see it when she just blows all the sand out of the way, and she casually does so. She's got all these tornadoes and everything just kind of whipping around. They're going with the different colors and all that, and she's doling out serious damage to the puppet. I like that. I really thought that that was interesting. I thought that was really interesting, and what I like about it is how you get Boruto and Shikadai saying, oh my god, I didn't know she was this powerful. And that's been one thing I have had a little bit of a problem with when it comes to the way they've handled the new generation. Like, they are the children of parents who made their name during the 4th Great Ninja War. All of them, for the most part, did something pretty epic. And one thing that really stood out to me when I first saw Boruto Naruto the movie was the fact that Boruto didn't know that his father was this strong. When you read Naruto Gaiden, Kishimoto had Sarada and Chocho saying, wow, Lord Seventh is really, really powerful. It's almost like they've, because it's a time of peace, downplayed how powerful the previous generation was. Like the children don't know how truly powerful their parents are. And I love these things like this where the new generation is catching a glimpse into how powerful the old generation is. And it's one of those times where the anime is showing you that, yeah, for as talented as these Gainin are, or in Shikadai's case, these Chunin are, even as talented as they are, they still have a long way to go before they can match the massive power of their parents. Like, Naruto's generation was stupidly overpowered. Boruto's generation is really skilled. If you look at what Shikaku was saying, Shikaku said, yeah, he's Naruto's kid. He's just more skilled than Naruto, and he's more intelligent. But if you notice, he never said powerful. That's the case for this new generation. They're more skilled than their parents were at that point, but they don't have the power. I think a lot of people mix up the fact that these characters are using multiple changes in chakra nature. What good is it if I know 5 different ways to break your nose, but when I hit you with the strength of like a 2-year-old child? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything if my muscles don't have enough power to dole out the damage. And that's what you're seeing with this new generation. What you're seeing with them is you're getting that opportunity for them to gain reps. They're gaining reps. Like, whereas if we were in a gym and Naruto's that guy who is casually benching 220 pounds, right? So he's got what, two 45-pound slabs on each side and a 45-pound bar. Naruto's that guy that's casually benching that, whereas Boruto's the kid who has to bench press the bar, which is 45 pounds. Yeah, sure, he might be able to do 100 different reps and he might be able to do different grips when it comes to benching, but he doesn't have the power, so it's not as impressive. So I really like that the anime is kind of hammering that home for us. And I really like that one moment where after you see this puppet just doing all these unnatural movements, right? I like how you see the difference in how the characters are responding. So when Shinki was attacked at the beginning of the episode, all of a sudden Shinki was caught off guard because, oh, the puppet was able to go through his iron sand and the puppet was able to break apart his hand. All these different things. Like, Shinki was caught off guard. Boruto and Temari and Shikadai, those characters were able to adapt. And it goes back to what I said, like, Shinki has those book smarts. These other characters have book smarts, but they also have street smarts. They know how to act in an unorthodox manner according to the situation. They're more flexible. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really cool that you see the difference in fighting styles. Now, another thing, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know I've already kind of talked about this. I really popped when I saw Shikadai using Temari's wind scythe, because if you've been with me since the very beginning on my original channel, Kryptonian Saiyan, I was saying way back in 2017, back in 2018, that oh yeah, Shikadai knows how to use Temari's fan. He's been getting training on this. Shikadai knows how to use wind style. He knows how to use the wind scythe, wind sickle jutsu. Shikadai is going to be whipping out some incredible wind release jutsu in the future, and since then we've seen him use, I think it was the Gale Cannon or whatever it was when he was on that mission with Dinky. We saw him use that, and in this episode we see him using Temari's scythe and using a jutsu that drains all of his chakra. And I like that because the Boruto series is pulling information from, whether it be the character profiles that you get in the Boruto manga before the chapters, or it's pulling information from the various novels or from the various guidebooks. It's pulling information from various sources. So I like when the Boruto anime does this, because it's acknowledging something I've said for a long time. In order to get the full story, in order to get the full understanding of the scope and the depth of these characters, you have to look past the anime, you have to look past the manga. And so the anime is incorporating a lot of different things that a lot of people are saying, when did he learn how to use this? So I like that, and I like how after Shikadai uses that attack, Temari looks at him and says like, yeah, when we get back home, you're going to be going through some intensive wind style training. That's something I've said for a while. Temari is training this dude how to use wind style, but Temari is a very strict and stern teacher. So I like what you're seeing there. I like what you're seeing there because again, they're tying back in different things from other mediums. Now, the other thing that I will say is I like how in this episode you see Temari, she gets poisoned, she gets slowed down, and a lot of people are like, oh my god, they're continuing to nerf the previous generation. And it's like I've been saying, yeah, we knew Kakashi was insanely powerful, and yet Kakashi was written out the story, or he was removed from the story at several points. You have to let these younger characters get their experience and get their reps. You have to watch the maturation process. This is no longer about the older generation, so I have no problem with that. I have no problem with Sasuke being in another dimension like we saw in the next episode preview, because it's giving these characters an opportunity to see what they can do when presented with a life or death situation. It's allowing them the opportunity to grow. And what I really like is the fact that we once again see how even though they have the skill, they lack the power to accomplish their goals. Like when Urashiki shows up, Temari gets caught off guard, and they're like, okay, Temari got caught off guard, so she loses her chakra. Shikadai attempts to fight back, and before he can even raise his kunai and start fighting, all of a sudden Urashiki takes away his chakra. And what I find interesting about Urashiki's ability is he's taking chakra, but he doesn't take all the chakra. And I guess that's one of those things where Kodachi and the writing team are looking at it and they're saying if he was able to take all the chakra out the body, that'd be pretty overpowered, because as we all know in the Naruto series, once your chakra levels hit absolute zero, you're dead. And that would be overpowered if Urashiki could do something like that. So I like the fact that he's essentially taking chakra up to a point where the characters are at a point of exhaustion. So I thought that was pretty interesting, that in that moment Shikadai realizes how much further he has to go, and not being able to protect his mother, I think that's something that's going to help his character going forward. Now, the other thing I thought was interesting is how Urashiki is saying, like, I was able to watch you guys through the puppets, and you Mr. Toneri's puppets, oh, it's a shame they're taking out this easily. But again, it's one of those things where he is hinting at what his main goal is. He's saying like, if the One Tails reaches the Hidden Leaf Village, then this is going to be a problem. I wanted to play a little longer. He's an agent of chaos. Like I feel like he's a scout, but he's also, I think one of you guys said in one of my videos that he is playing the Loki role. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. He's an agent of chaos, and I like that. And I like how Boruto and Shinki are going to have to potentially fight Urashiki in the next episode, because he's right on their tails. I mean, overall, I thought this was a good episode. I like the fact that this focused more so on the action. I like the fact that Boruto was able to use this Rasengan to take down the puppet after a coordinated attack. I thought that was really cool. I thought this was an earned payoff. If the anime decides to give us more fights in this sequence where the fights last longer and you see the characters struggling, I think that this can take the Boruto anime in a better direction. Now, before I get out of here, I do gotta say this. So in the last episode, I said, oh my god, do you guys think that Kankuro is dead? And I want to clarify something. Now, for anime only viewers, you were basically spoiled by a few people in the comment section, and what I'm gonna do going forward is I try to get cute with it, and I try to say, do you guys think that he's alive? I review the manga, so I know that Kankuro is actually alive, but I wanted to kind of not spoil that for the anime only viewers. But because so many people commented, what I'm going to be doing going forward is, if we get to something I know that it's in the manga or is in one of the novels and it's being hinted at, I'm going to tell you guys light spoiler, and I'm going to keep it to one sentence, but I'm going to do my best to keep the light spoiler as light as possible. That way you guys don't sit there and get completely ruined by it. But I want to know what you guys think on that. Like, going forward, do I need to incorporate any type of manga spoilers? Do I need to try and keep it as spoiler free for the anime onlys? And my episode question for you guys is, what were your thoughts about Shikadai using the wind release jutsu? What do you think about that, and would you like to see Temari training him to learn more wind release? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.